A little break is always necessary, and for Daniel Ricciardo, that's what had to happen. In the high-pressure world of Formula One racing, he thinks that taking a break is important for keeping one's mind and body healthy, especially after a long and grueling 2 seasons at McLaren. He's feeling more energized and ready to get back on the track next year. Stay tuned to find out more about today's topic. Everybody loves Daniel. He's so much fun, and with a smile that lights up the whole room, you just couldn't hate him even if you wanted to. He carries positive energy with him, and it was devastating to see him so downcast as his time at McLaren passed. Even though he tried to remain positive, we could see that something was off with him. Ricciardo had been struggling to adapt to his new team and car, and his performance wasn't up to his usual standards. Therefore, the news that McLaren had chosen to terminate Daniel's contract wasn't really a big surprise to most of us. It was kind of expected. He had a hard time there, and he failed to get good results for the team in most of the races. The team had been patient though, but now they were done, and so was Daniel. When he joined McLaren from Renault, which is now Alpine, he had high hopes for his future with the team, but unfortunately things didn't work out as he planned, and that was the reason that he chose to take a break. It didn't take long until it was announced that he would be taking on the role of the reserve driver with Redbull. This new opportunity provides him with a chance to learn and also allows him to stay involved in the sport while taking a break from the intense pressure of being a full-time driver. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner took a dig at Zak Brown at the team principal's press conference in Australia. It was clear when he came back that he'd picked up some habits that we didn't recognize as Daniel, that had left us 2 or 3 years earlier. We've had to feed him up. I don't know what McLaren did to him, but he came back looking a bit skinny, but he's looking healthier now. We're certainly seeing him getting back to being far more reminiscent of the Daniel that we knew, Horner said. I'd say he's about 10 minutes away from being ready to race. He's in good shape. He's kept himself fit, and, well, he's training hard. He's ready to go given a chance. It must be very tough for him not being a race driver this weekend, but he's thrown himself into and embraced this new role, he added. Concerning his return to the former team, Red Bull, Daniel expressed his excitement to be back in a familiar environment that will help him improve his skills and confidence. Here's what he had to say about his Red Bull return. I'm back in an environment and ultimately a family that I have a lot of good memories with, and it feels really good to be back there. In turn, that will develop my abilities, my confidence, and my enjoyment behind the wheel. Despite his absence from the front lines of F1 duty, Ricciardo insisted that it hadn't diminished his spirit of competition, but instead made him realize how passionate he still is about the sport. There's an element of that competitor in me wanting to remind people that I'm still here, still a professional, and still contributing to success, he said. We're all asking ourselves, when will we see Daniel racing again? While making his first appearance of the season in Australia, Daniel revealed that he might be coming back to the grid next year. The signs are pointing towards me getting back on the grid. I feel like that's currently where I'm tracking, at least in my head. I've even put myself in scenarios now where I'm like, if I got back on the grid tomorrow, what would I do differently? You just don't have a chance when you're in it. But I also think that everything happens for a reason. Having the chance to step back and just review everything from afar and with the luxury of time as well. Not to be forced to make a decision or rush anything, I feel that if I'm to get back on the grid, I honestly believe I'll be a better version of myself. A more mature, experienced, complete version, said Daniel. But what options does he have? First, there's Red Bull. F1 conspiracy theorists are having a field trip with that one. Many have speculated that the reason that Red Bull hired him as their reserve driver was to remind Sergio Perez that he was there to play teammate. That Max Verstappen was the team's focus, and Perez was there to help him. And if by any chance he fancied himself ambitious, it would not be that hard to let him go. Tension had been brewing at Red Bull after Perez was instructed to slow down in Jeddah, which he refused, saying he wouldn't be doing that if Max wasn't slowing down as well. After the race, he posted a tweet saying that he was happy with the team and he'd gotten a 5th win of his career, and he wanted to be a champion. The tweet was deleted and reposted, but the part where he said he wanted to be a champion was removed. The rivalry between Perez and Verstappen is becoming increasingly intense, and it remains to be seen how this is going to affect the team's performance in future races. It's clear that both drivers are highly competitive and determined to win, which could lead to some more exciting moments on the track. We can only expect hard battles and maybe some crashing on the track between the two. And if that does happen, it might give Daniel a chance to get into the car earlier than next year. As we also know, Red Bull is ruthless with their decision-making when it concerns the second driver. Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly were booted from the team when they didn't perform to the team's expectations. It's common for F1 teams to have high expectations from their drivers, especially when it comes to competing for the championship. Red Bull is known for being a tough team to please, and they're always on the lookout for drivers who can deliver consistent results and follow team orders. Perez is performing right now, and Red Bull is happy with him. There is a contract that Perez is going to be able to honor till the end of next year, so for now, he stays put. But if he were to jeopardize Verstappen's fight for the championship, he would definitely lose his seat. That's a lot of ifs, but it's all we can work with right now. The second option will be Haas. Gunther Steiner said that he's always evaluating their drivers' performances, and if he sees that they're not meeting all the expectations, he'll have to make a change. However, he also understands that it takes time for a driver to adapt to a new car and team, so he gives the necessary support and resources to improve. In this case, Nico Hülkenberg, who just joined the team, if it didn't work with either of the Haas drivers, Steiner would be willing to hold talks with Daniel. The third option for Daniel would then be Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton's contract hasn't been extended, and although the team has said that Lewis will continue racing with the team, it was only confirmed when the contract is signed, so not yet. It wouldn't be easy for Ricciardo to get the seat at Mercedes, as there is the option of Lando Norris, who seems to be the favorite option for the Silver Arrows team at the moment. The fourth option for the Aussie is Aston Martin, which, to be honest, is not likely to happen. Fernando Alonso is performing well, and Lance Stroll ain't going nowhere. I mean, it is his father's company. The other option is Alpine. There are continuing contracts for the drivers Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, but there's still time left this season, and a lot could happen. Otmar Szafnauer held talks with Ricciardo last year, but ended up going with Gasly. And if an opportunity arose this year, he'd be looking for Ricciardo again. But what does Daniel want? In an interview with Fox Sports, Daniel revealed that he wasn't desperate to return to Formula One. What he wanted was to join a team that was performing well, and he would rather not be on the grid than be fighting for the 18th position. He said, "I want to be back with a top team, and a team where I have that confidence back in my mojo. To go back and to maybe put me in any seat that's fighting at best for like a top 10. I don't think it's gonna bring out the best of me. I see myself, at least in my head, wanting to be back on the grid, but there are still some terms and conditions, so to speak. It's not all costs." A lot could happen in a year, and it's possible that we won't see him on the grid next season, but we remain hopeful. I mean, he's ready as he can be for the call of the drive, so there's that. Let us know which team you'd like Daniel to join next year in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing F1 content. Bye for now.